Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Talk Show. I am Dr. Nik Nikam. We are delighted you could join us. We have a fascinating program. During first half of the hour, we'll be talking to Judge, uh, talking to Bashist Sharma, who is running for judge position at District 178 in Houston, Texas. And during second half of the hour, we'll be talking to our friends from Cry America. Okay, before we proceed, we would like you to download our app, which is NNN Media, so that you can watch our programs, which will be live video streamed to YouTube and Google+. While we are talking about YouTube, we would like you to please visit our YouTube channel, which is Nik Nikam, that is Niknikam, where we have more than 800 videos accenting our experience from Houston, Texas. We would also like you to visit our Facebook page, which is Nik Nikam Network, and like our page, where you keep you abreast of what's happening in and around the Houston area and from around the world. Okay, let's begin with our first talk. My special guest is Bashist Sharma, who is a practicing attorney here in the Harris County area, and he is running for a judge position for the District 178 here in the Harris County. Mr. Sharma, we are delighted to have you. Welcome to Triple N Talk Show.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Nick.
Oh, okay. Let's start off with give us a little bit about your background. You know, where you come from and how long you've been in Houston.
Yeah, I was born in Guyana, South America, in the West Indies. I moved to the United States when I was a teenager in the 70s, in the early 70s, and subsequently moved to Texas. And I'm in Houston. Been here about 37 years. I used to be a business person. I used to own small businesses here. And so law is my second career. I sold my business, went back to law school. Been practicing law for about a little over 21 years, almost 22 years. My practice encompasses both civil and criminal litigation in federal, state court. I'm also licensed in the state of New York. And my office right now, we have 4 attorneys. 3 of them are my daughters and myself. My wife Indira is our office manager. So at this point in time, I've made a decision that instead of just retiring, handing over the practice, retiring, might be beneficial to the community to run as a judge, to be a judge. I think that'll be my best way to serve the community because that is my expertise. Unlike Nik Nikam, I don't have a lot of other talents. All I can do is practice law.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching a Triple N Talk Show. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and my special guest is Bashist Sharma, who is an attorney running for District 178 here in the Harris County. Tell us about what got you interested in running for a judge position.
Oh, a couple of things recently that really got me interested. It's something I've always thought about. But a couple of things happened very recently. I don't know if you heard of Mr. Patel in Alabama. He was just an elderly gentleman, came to visit his family here, and just walking along, taking a stroll down the street, and somebody called the police that I see a skinny black man wandering around on the road. Police comes over. I was trying to make communication, I assume, with him, but of course he couldn't understand what the police is saying, so this officer just attacked him, broke his spine and crippled him. The ultimate insult was that the officer walked free. The jury found it not guilty, and he was acquitted. Another situation right here in Houston, we had a young boy. He was working as an assistant manager, going to college in a fried chicken place, and the robbers came and killed him on cold blood. That case sat in the criminal district courts for several years before it went to trial. And sometimes I know the family, sometimes I'll go to court, I'll see them, and I felt so bad. My heart went out to this poor family, running to court every time, back and forth, trying to get some justice. It was apparent that the prosecutor, the defense counsel, even the judges were not that keen on seeking justice for this family. And these are some of the reasons, besides others in the past that I've noticed, that make me feel like our community needs somebody on the bench, especially in the criminal arena, very, very badly. Because if we don't have representation, you know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our country, this United States, a great country, was based on revolution because of non-representation.
So what was the outcome in this Houston case?
He finally was found guilty after many years, and the family was able to get some closure. How much closure can you get if your kid is killed, your child is murdered? But the family was finally able to put some of it behind them, and this person was found guilty. But the issue is the time it took for that to happen. All this time, this family agonized.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about some of the pro bono type of cases you have been involved in the legal system.
Yeah, thank you. I always encourage my children to do pro bono activity, to serve the less fortunate.
Yeah.
Recently, we have done a lot of cases where children come across the border escaping gang violence, and especially young girls are escaping rape and injuries. They'll come here, and the government would just lock them up. The parent, if there's a parent with them, will lock the parent and the child up. And they don't have the money to hire a lawyer, obviously. They're coming here with a shirt on their backs. So me and my kids, my daughters, we made a decision. We'll try to do as much as we can. We try to get them out on a bond. We try to get them assistance. And we actually try to fight to get what is called asylum for a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And our office is one of the most successful as far as getting asylum for these refugees kids. And they were not allowing bond at one time. And my daughter, Anjali, she is very skillful in arguing to the court that why they should allow bond for these kids, because the Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security, their lawyers were saying these people are just coming here because they hear that you can get green cards for free. Which, I mean, I'm sure there is some like that, but the overwhelming majority were people in dire straits. People would let their kids, little girl children, leave home with strangers and travel for days in the desert, cross rivers. You wouldn't do that unless you're in dire straits.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching a Triple N Talk Show. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and my special guest is Bashist Sharma, who is a lawyer who is running for District 178 judge position here in the Harris County. Okay, let's talk about tell us about the district court for those who are non-lawyers. What is the role of a district court, and what would be the role of a judge in a district court? I mean, a very basic question because I'm a doctor.
Correct. The district court is the highest trial court in the state of Texas. What it is, on the lowest level, you have the JP courts. Above that, and they do the JP courts will do small things like mostly fines, traffic tickets, warrants. Above that, you have the county courts. The county courts do misdemeanor. And then you have two sides. You have the civil side and the criminal side. I'm focusing on the criminal side. On the criminal side, the county courts will do misdemeanor cases. And then above that, you have the district courts. The district court or felony courts will try the highest felony cases. If it's rape or murder, capital murder, life sentences, whatever it is, district court
are these district courts run by the state, or is it a federal one?
No, these are county courts by the state
county
courts.
I see,
State county courts. And they do a very, very important job, because beyond the district courts, you just have the appeal courts.
I see.
But the appeal courts don't try cases. They just go by records. A lot of people don't realize that. They are higher courts, legally speaking, but there is no trial action going on. They just go through the record that's created in the trial court, and they review those records for errors, basically.
Oh, I see.
And that's what an appeal is.
So what's the role of a judge in a district court?
A judge should be an impartial referee. That's what a judge does. And running for judge now, I run into all these different groups, People from the far right wants me to tell them that I'm going to be tough on crime, I'm going to be a prosecutor type judge, I'm going to lock them up and throw away the keys. People from the far left want me to say, well, I'm going to have sympathy, I'm going to coddle the offenders. The fact is that judge should not have any of those biases. A judge should not have an agenda. A judge should not care what the outcome of a case is. I should not pander politically to anyone. Just listen to the evidence, whatever evidence is presented, and make rulings if you're required to. A lot of times these trials are done by juries. So the judge's job is to be a referee between the two sides, the state and the defendant. So make sure they follow the rules. So it's very important for the judge to know the rules in order to enforce the rules in the courtroom. Because if the judge doesn't come from a trial background, as I do, and understands all the rules, then the trial is not going to be fair. One side is going to take advantage of the other side.
So what cases are tried as trial versus a judge's decision?
Anybody can get a jury trial. All they have to do, it's automatic in the felony courts, unless you request a bench trial. So in the JP courts, even in the JP courts, you can request a jury trial. On the civil side, most of the time you have to request and pay a fee. In the criminal side, you don't. It's almost automatic.
So do you need any special qualifications to be a judge on a district court?
Believe it or not, the only qualification you need is to be 25 years old and to have 4 years of experience practicing law.
So you need a law degree?
You do need a law degree to be a criminal, to be a judge, yes. The JPs, the lower level, they used to not need a law degree. But I think they changed that. Don't hold me to that, but I think they've changed that now where they also have to have a law degree.
So this is an elected position. Why is it an elected position?
A good question. A lot of people criticize the electoral process for judges especially. Because you know what happens when you run for office, there's always a need for money. It's so expensive to run for office. And because of that, attorneys and other people will give money. Special interest groups will give money to the judges and all elected officials. The critical issue is that if you receive money from someone, you still have to have the strength when that person comes before you in court to rule against them if it's warranted. And a lot of politicians, judges are criticized for not being able to do that. Because whenever someone gives money, we know that there's somewhat of an expectation there, a payback. That is my criticism of the system. I think there should be a better system where judges are partly elected but have to go through some sort of peer review process and some qualification process as far as education and integrity goes.
But the Supreme Court judges are all appointed, right? But it has to be approved by the Congress. But basically they are...
they're appointed, but they have to be approved by Congress. Something like that might help our state system. Especially if you have some kind of review board to review the qualifications and the integrity of these applicants or the candidates for judge.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching a Triple N talk show. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and we are talking about running for judge position in District 178 here in Harris County, and my special guest is Bashist Sharma. And you are watching Triple N talk show. We would like you to download our app, which is NNN Media, where you can follow us on YouTube, where we live video stream our talks every Wednesdays between 6 and 7 p.m. And if you would like to be a guest on our program, let us know. And our number is 281-265-7567. Okay, how many years is this position?
It's every 4 years.
Every 4 years?
They have judges have to run for office every 4 years.
And is it along party lines?
Yeah,
Isn't there a bias already to start with?
Right.
If you're running as a party line candidate?
Correct. It's a partisan elections. For example, on March 1st, we're going to have the primary elections. and that's why we need people to go out and vote in the Republican primary. I'm running under the Republican banner, and March 1st is the primary elections. There's 4 people running, but yeah, and then there's certain people running for the Democratic side.
Yeah.
To win the nomination in the Democratic Party, and in November we'll have the general election, which will be the candidate for both sides, the nominee for both parties.
From the both parties.
I don't think
there
they're
any independents.
I was just going to say, you read my mind. I don't think there are any independents for this position.
Huh?
I don't think any for this
there
position.
are no independents.
Yeah.
So, do you get support from your party? I mean, if 4 candidates are running.
I do. Right now, the Republican Party will not support any of the candidates in a primary election.
I see.
Later on, they will support. If I win the primary, they will support, hopefully. But yeah.
That's interesting. What is the actual role of a judge? I mean, give us about a little background as to how many days a year a judge works, and what are all the duties?
Well, the judge works normal schedule like everybody else.
Yeah.
They come in usually around 8, 9 o'clock. There's a lot of, besides the jury trials, there's a lot of small hearings.
I see.
That has to be done because the attorneys from both sides will file motions.
Yeah.
And these are little small mini trials where evidence is received and rulings are made directly by the judge. Yeah. No jury involved there. And then there's a lot of orders to sign. So they're kept pretty busy all day long.
So you deal with both civil and criminal, or is it a particular area?
No, this court is a criminal district court.
Criminal.
Yeah.
What kind of cases do you have to hear?
These are all
decide on.
Yeah, these are all felony cases that range from assault, felony assault, drugs, rapes, murders, anything to do with felonies.
So this must be pretty challenging.
It's not for the faint of heart because you have to be able to have a very calm, steady mind.
Yeah.
The good thing about me is that I do a lot of meditations, keep my mind calm. Even practicing law, you need that, a lot of it.
That is true. Yeah.
And you have to be able to. Sometimes you have to be able to be strong enough to make the call. If somebody deserves a very harsh, strict punishment, then you have to be strong enough to do it. And you also have to be strong enough to go against political pundits. And if the state does not prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt like they're supposed to, let the person go.
I see. Yeah. So it will be the state versus the accused.
The accused and the lawyer for the accused, right? The state has a burden in all criminal cases. It is always a state's burden.
Yeah.
The defense has absolutely no burden.
I see. Yeah.
And that's a very important point for not only judges, for juries to understand.
I see. Yeah.
The defendant has no burden. It's a burden of the state to prove that person guilty.
Yeah.
And they have to prove that person guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That is the highest legal standard. For example, somebody wants to take away your child, they have to prove that you're unfit parent and take away your child by a lower standard. Or if in a civil case, it's just a preponderance of the evidence standard, which tilts the case a little bit. So it's a heavy burden on the state. They have to do that to prove this person guilty, and they have to prove him guilty by each and every element of the crime. And when I say element, I like the public to know about this, your listeners to know about this. An element of a crime is just like, let's say you're making a cup of tea.
Yeah.
For the cup of tea, you need a cup, you need hot water, you need a tea bag. You need 3 things. Without any one of these, you have no tea.
I see.
Well, similarly, in a criminal trial, a criminal conviction requires several what they call elements, legal elements. So, for example, let's say you want to prove a murder. The state wants to prove. So they have to prove that this person on this and such date killed this person.
Yes.
So there's 2 or 3 elements they have to prove.
I see.
If any one of those are missing, then there's no conviction. And that's one of the hardest things we have to explain
it's
to the
fascinating.
jury.
We watch, I'm a doctor, so I know very little about legal system. But it's fascinating when they say the judge has to give some instructions to the jury and things like that. To me, it's all like totally oblivious as to what instructions are given and how do 12 ordinary people may have to make the most important judicial decision when even the legal experts can't agree upon, or even the legal experts on television can't agree upon, about the judgment.
Well, you're correct. That's one of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest criticisms of the entire legal system, the jury system. In fact, a little bit of a humor here, off-cuff humor. It took 5 justices out of 9 to vote that a contract was unambiguous. So if the contract was really unambiguous, why does 4 people feel like it was ambiguous?
Even in Supreme Court decisions, you have like 5-4 like decisions. I mean, if this is constitution, if this is law of the land, why won't all the judges agree?
Right. Well, that's the thing. They say reasonable minds differ, and each judge or each jury, to go back to your original question, comes to the court with a different background and different way of seeing things.
Yeah, but we may be individuals and all this, but you're interpreting the law of the land, so it has to be, it's written in words. You can't change words.
Well, one example I give to jurors whenever I try cases, I tell the jurors, you have to be the judge as to whether or not this person is telling the truth or their credibility.
I see.
And as an example, one person might believe this person is telling the truth, another person wouldn't. And as an example, I tell them, I have a grandson, and I think my grandson is the most talented, handsome baby in the world.
I know.
Someone else, another grandparent might disagree with me. Well, who's lying? Am I lying when I say that, or another grandparent lying when they say that? And that is why it's sort of subjective on the part of the jury to use, and that's why we have so many of them, because different people see things differently.
It's interesting. Okay, here's a question. When multiple people are running for a judge position, what are the kind of things people need to know as to see who is best suited for that particular position?
Absolutely, they need to know their candidate. The voters should try to get to know the candidate, get to see their experience. What experience does this person have to be on a judge? Experience in the legal arena? Have they tried sufficient cases? Have they been in the courtroom enough? And also, on a personal level, is this a person that you will trust your life with? Because that's essentially what they are doing. The public is trusting their lives with this judge, and they have to trust the judge to be fair and impartial, and it's a big burden. The public needs to get more informed. Unfortunately, a lot of people just vote along party lines, or they just look at the name, and whichever name looks nice, they'll vote for that person.
I have seen some of the hearings about the nomination of Supreme Court judges, and they say, okay, look at the past record and all this. You want to enlighten us on your past record as to why people want to select you as the judge for District 178?
Well, I certainly have the most experience in all the candidates running in the Republican primary. I don't know who's running on the Democratic primary. I've tried some of the most important, interesting cases in Texas on the criminal side and the civil side, but I'm just going to focus on the criminal side. The first online solicitation of a minor case in the state of Texas, I tried it. And we got successful results. I challenged that law. In those days, the Attorney General was Greg Abbott, our current governor. And me and him, we had and his first lieutenant, his first-hand guy, we had a heated discussion about this law. And I always asserted that this law is unconstitutional. It so happens recently the court did say that this law is unconstitutional. It's overly broad. And a lot of times what they'll do, I have girl children that I raised. I don't want nobody to be able to bother or harass my kids or my grandkids. But at the same time, a lot of these kids they caught were Desi kids.
Yeah.
And these are kids that were good on the computer and had too much time on their hands.
Oh.
They were playing on the computer and then they were fantasizing like they're going to pick up some girl over the computer.
I see.
And the girl they're picking up is actually a 250-pound deputy sheriff with a beard and the boots on.
Yeah, that shouldn't come as a surprise, actually. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching a Triple N talk show. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and we are talking to Bashist Sharma, who is an attorney who is running for District 178 here in Harris County as for the judge position. Okay, let's give out your contact information and any other. You have a website, something like that?
Yeah, we're on Facebook. Bash Sharma for judge. Bash is short of Bashist. It's B-A-S-H, Sharma for judge. We're on Facebook, and we also have our office, regular office, law office website, sharmalaws.com. And we don't have a specific web address for the campaign as yet. But we can be reached any of those, and of course my office number, my cell phone, it's on our brochures. It's to look up my record. If you want to call my office, it's 281-893-8644. I know it's a lot of numbers to remember, but we have a full-time staff at the office, full-time receptionist, and we're fully staffed. We have a lot of people working there.
Yeah. You've also been involved with the Texas Bar Association at various levels. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm with the State Bar of Texas. I through the pro bono or free legal activities, they awarded me last year a pro bono award, which means because you do so much free legal service, you get an award. I volunteer with a lot of nonprofit organizations, both inside and outside of our community, and boards, both inside and outside of our community. So we stay pretty active in the community as far as serving and giving back to the community. And I'm one of the luckiest persons alive. I live the American dream. My parents were wealthy in the Caribbean, but when they came here, they didn't come with anything. They left their wealth back home. And at one point, I was a floor sweeper in a factory. I did all kinds of jobs. Worked my way up to own my own business. I was CEO of my own company, and then went out and became a lawyer. Successfully practiced, did well, and now I'm ready to make the next step to serve our community as a judge. I think I'm best equipped for that.
It's fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching a Triple N talk show. I'm Dr. Nik Nikam, and my special guest is Bashist Sharma, running for 178th District Court Judge position. Mr. Sharma, maybe we can tell the listeners one more time as to why they should vote for you or elect you as the judge for the 178th District Court.
Well, vote for me because I'm the most qualified candidate running for this office. I have the most experience. I have the humility and the temperament to be a good listener and to be a good judge and to be fair and honest. And you have to remember, me and my wife raised 4 girls, so we're used to handling drama. There's no problem.
That's a good way to conclude. Thank you very much, Mr. Sharma. It's been a pleasure, and good luck with your elections. And ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching a Triple N talk show, and we'll be back in a few minutes, and we're going to talk to our folks from Cry America. Bye.